Greetings, fellow nerds and geeks. Why don't you pull yourself up a chair, grab yourself a beverage, and prepare to enjoy a geek-tastic conversation. Welcome to the Geek Easy.
Welcome back to the Geek Easy podcast. This is episode number 70. And I am your host, Pixel Dan Erdley, also joined by Jonathan Leonard.
That's me.
And Jaron McCaffrey.
I prefer to be called Smooth Jaron McCaffrey tonight, please.
All right. Smooth Jaron McCaffrey joining us tonight. This is going to be a fun one. I'm excited.
Hey, Smooth Jaron.
Yes, John.
Does the new format make you nervous with Danny sitting behind us the whole time like that?
No, sir. That's how I like it.
Okay, just me then.
Yes. All right. This is going to be a good one. I can already tell. we're running strong already.
Yeah, well, we got to fill the time with something since nothing's been happening.
Nothing?
In the world
we have
news.
Zero things to talk about. Oh, wait, we have many things to talk about. And as Jaron and I were discussing beforehand, it's really funny because none of this stuff is breaking news by any means. You guys know about all of this by now, so be ready just to listen to us react to all this news. But that's what you're here for anyway, right? That's what you tune into this show for.
Are we going to do like those YouTube reaction videos?
Yeah, we're going to go way over the top with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
What? And then we got to start crying and stuff and some things.
I'm just going to get up and start running in circles and knocking everything over.
Knocking things down. Great.
That's not going to jive very well with my new persona.
Smooth Jaron doesn't react. Smooth Jaron's too chill for that, man.
Smooth Jaron keeps it chill all the time. All day, every day. 100 degrees out. Smooth Jaron's still chill.
I'm going for the opposite side of the spectrum. I'm going to shoot for having a heart attack in the middle of this episode.
Whoa.
Hey, man.
I'm going to go crazy.
I think you should.
Super crazy.
I'm saying it out loud, and then now I'm realizing how much effort that would take, and that's probably not going to happen.
I need to work on a smooth laugh. That wasn't a very smooth laugh.
Yeah, that wasn't very chill, bro. I just
Got it.
Oh my god. Yep,
Nailed
that's it. Nailed it.
I just noticed the board behind you in Danny's office has Golden Girl for some reason, and I don't even want to know why. I just want to assume it's regarding the sitcom.
Thank you for being a friend.
And I just want to smile every time I look up there.
Good. That was the intention. This is the new Golden Girls fan podcast.
Oh,
you didn't know?
I got to catch up.
You got a lot of... It's on Hulu.
Probably. I was about to say, I've probably seen most of them. It's just been 25 years.
Oh, man. All right, well, let's get into this. We got a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
Name one.
Okay, so here, how about this? There was 2 conventions that happened that spilled quite a bit of news that we can discuss. I
said one.
And they were back-to-back weekends. PowerCon and D23 both just happened, both in Anaheim, California, next door to each other. And we got a bunch of news out of both of them. And, of course, I was at PowerCon, and I left California right before D23 started, which is a good thing. So I escaped Disneyland right before the D23ers came storming into Disneyland.
So it's D23, not D23?
D23, D23. I don't know. Either way. The 23 stands for 1923, which is when Mickey Mouse was created. So...
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying it that way, and I assumed I had been wrong this whole time.
D23 sounds more like a convention than D23.
Yeah, I guess it could be either way.
That's like what you roll for an attack.
Yeah, I was about to say, that sounds like a die that doesn't exist, I don't think.
23-sided dice. Yeah. Amazing. All right. Well, hey, let's start with the PowerCon stuff, since I was there. I was at PowerCon. It was a pretty awesome experience. I got to hang out with Kevin Smith, and I've already bragged about that enough, so we don't need to keep talking about that. But it was super cool. Actually,
you dropped that.
What's that?
That name.
Oh, I did drop that name, man. Oh, we're best friends now. You didn't know? Me and Kevin Smith, man, we're good buds.
Can we have his phone number?
Yeah.
Awesome. Not like the internet.
No. I'll tell you after the show. We can all text him together. Yeah. Tell him how much we all love Clerks too. He likes that. He likes hearing that.
Yeah, he should. That's awesome.
But he showed up. It was kind of a surprise that he was coming to PowerCon. It was announced days before the event that Kevin Smith was going to be making an appearance. And when they announced him, the thing just said that he was going to be showing up to do a panel with Rob David, who was the writer of the Masters of the Universe Eternity War comic series. So the whole reason for him being there was that he was going to do this interview about this Masters of the Universe comic. But everybody kind of had a feeling that there must have been some other reason that Kevin Smith was showing up. And he was teasing it a ton on his podcast, on Fat Man on Batman. He's been teasing for months that he's gotten the opportunity to work on this classic series, that it's not something he's ever done before, this and that. So it's kind of one of those things where once the announcement that he was going to be at PowerCon came out, people started kind of putting two and two together and wondering if the series that he got the chance to work on might happen to be He-Man. So he rolled in on Sunday at PowerCon, and up there at his panel, he started it with just him and Rob David, and they did a fun little back and forth where they were like, what if we made a new He-Man show? That'd be cool. Yeah, we should do that. You know what'd be cool? What if we put it on Netflix? Hey, isn't that one of the Netflix guys sitting there in the front seat? Hey, can we put a He-Man show on Netflix? And then the Netflix guy stood up and said, yeah, that sounds good. And then that's how they announced that. It was really funny.
Nice.
So the Netflix guy was my good buddy Ted, who I've talked to you guys about before because he did a lot of stuff for Dark Crystal coming back.
Yeah, we're going to need his number too.
Yeah, so this was what was really awesome is because Ted's been to every PowerCon since the first one. Like, he's part of the community, so I've known him for years and everything. So knowing that he helped get this whole thing going is pretty awesome. That gives me good faith in what we're getting with the new He-Man cartoon series, that we've got fans involved in it right there at the start. Rob David, of course, he works for Mattel and has written a bunch of the Masters comics, and he's on board for the show. Kevin is just the showrunner, so he's just like the director, basically. He even said in the panel, he's not really the guy making the creative decisions on this. He's got a team that does that. He's just the director, but he's been doing that on stuff like The Flash and Supergirl and stuff like that. He's good at that sort of thing, especially when it comes to the geek stuff, I think. And then they brought up the team from what was the name? Powerhouse Animation Studios. So they're the ones that did the Castlevania series on Netflix, which I still haven't watched. Have you guys watched that yet?
I have not.
I've heard really good things about it, but they're the team that's animating the new He-Man series. So that's pretty cool. It might give us an idea of what to expect with the look of the animation and everything. And this was the really cool part of the panel too, because when they were talking to that team, they were talking about how they were watching a ton of YouTube videos for reference material, and that's where they name dropped me. That was amazing because I had no idea that was coming. So that was just a really neat experience. But the things that they were saying in the panel were, they were saying the right things with this. This show is supposed to pick up from the original Filmation show, but tell a new story. So it's not like an origin thing all over again or anything like that. Like, we're picking up in a world where we already know He-Man and Skeletor, all of this stuff. Like, the poster that they show kind of has a very dark tone to it, and when you think of that Castlevania series, like, that's got a bit of a dark tone to it. But they specifically said in this panel, like Kevin himself said, he doesn't think the proper way to revive something is to go the dark and brooding route. And then he made a lot of fun of the DC movies, which was really funny. And then he kind of talked about the Marvel movies and the way they do things, and he thinks that Masters of the Universe is a world that should be bright and colorful and filled with humor and fun, but also mix in the serious storyline elements. And I like that. That sounds great. Yeah. That's what I want. Yeah. So I really hope that everything that he's saying is exactly the kind of thing we're going to get with this show.
Well, like you said, those are all the right words.
They're all the right words, but you never know, right? You never know how this can end up.
Now, forgive my ignorance, because I was a big fan of that show when I was a kid, but I haven't gone back and watched tons of the He-Man. So when you say, like, it follows that series, is that strictly in spirit, or would it be, is it supposed to play as an official sequel? And if so, did that show really have any kind of ending, or didn't it just stop?
It just stopped. It didn't really have an ending. When the She-Ra show started, it just kind of took over basically as the new show, and He-Man crossed over a lot on it.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was really like a definitive end to it by any means, and there really was no like storyline. Like, they definitely had a few episodes that were nice and story driven, but for the most part that show was like every episode was its own contained thing, and it didn't really have, but that's also not really the way they did cartoons back then.
Basically the same.
And they were all basically the same. Yeah.
So it's not something that like the last episode will lead into the first episode
I don't
of this
think
thing.
so.
It's just like a
right.
spiritual.
It's a
like,
spiritual
they can-
successor.
yeah.
It's like, hey, you remember the He-Man cartoon? Here's a new one, but we're not going to do an origin story. It's just it's He-Man versus Skeletor. The little actual press release. So the show's called Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Okay, so they're going to try to make the show that we remember, not the show that we see if we actually go back and watch it.
I think that's a great way to describe it. It sounds like,
That's what it needs to be.
Yeah, it really does need to be. You're right.
That old show is bad.
I love that old show, but I'm not going to argue that. So it says.
When was the last time you tried to watch? You've been watching it?
I have not been watching it recently. No.
Like, when was the last time you watched it?
I don't even know. I think I've tried to show Spencer some episodes, but even he doesn't really want to watch it. So.
Yeah, okay.
So this says we pick up right where
You
the
love
classic.
the memory of that old show.
I do love the memory of that old show.
That's fine.
You're right.
That's
you're
fine.
right.
I love the memory of that old show.
We pick up right where the classic era left off to tell an epic tale that may be the final battle between He-Man and Skeletor. So that's like all it says.
Maybe.
Yeah. So and that's probably
unless they get renewed.
Unless they get renewed from war. Exactly. I mean, this is on Netflix, so you never know. This could go on forever. So it's really interesting. I'm excited to see. I thought there had been some more information dropped about it, but I'm having a hard time finding it. I've seen some people talking about how, and maybe Kevin has said it on a podcast, and maybe that's what it is, but I think Teela's supposed to have a pretty big story arc in this new.
I've seen that as a synopsis point somewhere also.
And I've seen a lot of people already worried about that, like, oh my god, it's gonna be woke. That's the new thing we do now, where we're like, oh, females, so it's woke. I don't know, but I just want to bring up, like, Teela's always been a super important character.
Yeah.
And if we follow like storylines of Teela through many mediums of Masters of the Universe, I mean, she's the daughter of the sorceress who was adopted by a man-at-arms who is destined to be the next sorceress. She's definitely a very important character in the mythos. Yeah. So if they're going to tell that story, which sounds to me like they're going to do something like that, I don't see any problem there. And any longtime fan would see that coming. So
I mean, that's the deal as the world stands right now.
Yeah.
New things are going to be made. Most of those new things are actually going to be older things that are being made again, and people are going to be upset, and the world will keep spinning. Yeah. So like if that wasn't the news, then there'd be something else that people were up in arms about. Whatever. We'll wait and see if it's good. We'll hope it is. And I don't care who the main characters are if they're telling me good stories.
I'm trying not to get too excited, but I was there, so I got excited.
Yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
should be excited.
And but I try to keep my.
He said to me the other day, he was like, "This series is gonna be the He-Man that I've been waiting for. Not the movie. I don't even care about the movie anymore." I was like, "Ooh, that's some big that's some big expectations."
I need to reel that back a little
Danny.
bit. I need to reel that back a little bit so I don't get disappointed. But I will stand by. I am way more excited about He-Man animation than I am for a He-Man live action movie.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have much faith in that live action movie. Looking at Hollywood's track record, but I've always said that I feel like He-Man makes a better cartoon anyway, and I'm totally cool with them doing an animation thing.
The interesting part to me is that there seems to be no connection whatsoever to the current running
The She-Ra
Netflix series, and it's not good or bad necessarily so much as just interesting with the way everything is so heavily crossover driven nowadays.
Right.
It's interesting that the same service would put both shows out and not have
like
anything
the one that
to do
originally
with each
did
other,
that.
Right, yeah, the one that originally did that. Well, it seems like
Everybody.
they're definitely trying to keep the She-Ra one aimed more towards a younger audience, and this new He-Man seems like it's kind of for us.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's no technical reason why they couldn't do a She-Ra version of He-Man in that show if they really wanted to or anything, if they own all that stuff.
I know there's a weird
whatnot,
rights difference between He-Man and She-Ra. I think one of them, I think She-Ra, is it Universal that outright owns She-Ra, and He-Man is technically owned by Mattel? It's something so weird like that. And the rights issue might be the thing that's keeping them separated this day and age. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know exactly how that is, and I know, I mean, there's obviously a link there with them somewhere, but I think there is separate.
Like I said, it's not like a good or bad thing per se. Like that She-Ra show doesn't need a He-Man. However, if they introduced one, I'd be excited. So it's either way on that stuff. But that is always, man, movie rights or intellectual property rights are just the most interesting thing.
It's super weird, right?
In the world.
Well, see, it's like, because the She-Ra cartoon's done by DreamWorks, which is Universal's animation thing, and this He-Man one is a totally different animation studio. It's not Universal's. Yep. So
I always go back, and I've probably brought it up 10 times on this show over the episodes, but I always go straight back to the Tick when I think about stuff like that, because they did that live action version of the Tick, which was based on the Ben Edlund comics, with him involved in doing so, starring the Tick, which was like the main character there, and on the same network that the cartoon was, but then they had to reinvent half the supporting cast because they didn't own the rights to those. I'm like, who does that?
Yeah, it's super weird. I know.
Like, you're all the same people making it, aren't you?
So there's no dates or anything yet for this. So this was just the initial announcement. So I think we're still a ways off from this show, but we know about it now, and I'm excited to see what comes of it. It's really cool to see Masters of the Universe, or He-Man and She-Ra specifically, are getting quite the public resurgence in 2020 and moving forward, because with She-Ra, with her successful Netflix show, now He-Man's getting a series plus the movie still, because Mattel's still promoting that movie too. Plus they're launching a brand new toy line in 2020, which is going to be at retail in retail stores aimed at kids. It's crazy. Like, they're like, this is like a whole new like resurgence for the brand, and I think that's pretty cool.
Have there been any She-Ra toys since that show came out?
Yep, they just launched. They're at Target stores right now. They're Target exclusive right now, but it's a line of dolls. And they've got like right now it's like all good guys except Catra. It's like they did She-Ra, Bo, Glimmer, Catra, and then they did.
I mean, like the only bad guys in that show that are really named are
Catra and Scorpia. And Hordak.
I guess and technically, why can't I think of the witch's name?
Oh, Shadow Weaver.
Shadow Weaver,
yeah. They did a Shadow
more than
Weaver.
I thought, I guess, but still, not that many.
Shadow Weaver was a Comic-Con exclusive for some reason, so she's not at Target. She was only at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll change, though, at some point.
I'm sure they'll make one of her if the line's successful.
And there's a Swift Win, too, which is cool. So those are out.
They named that whole cadet squad.
Oh,
I can't think of any names. The lizard and the dude
and
like
the new characters they created.
I don't remember having any names.
I feel I'm trying really hard to think of their name right now. And I can't think of any of them, but I feel like they've been on too much for them not to have been, to just be, hey, you guys, hey, do that. You know what I mean? Like, they've done a lot of stuff, and I'm sure they've had their names called out at least in segments.
I don't remember, but you're
trying to remember.
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to remember, and I can't think of any of them.
You're not caught up, are you?
I am not. I'm almost done with season 2. Finally, I just started watching it again. Yeah. So I got a ways to go on that show still. They are short. We're flying through it pretty quick.
Right, Gina Davis shows up pretty soon.
Yeah, she's Huntara, right? Yeah. I always liked Huntara in the original show, so I'm excited to see her. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on. Oh, there was one other announcement at PowerCon.
Yep.
I have a book coming out.
What?
Yay!
When did you wrote a book?
Finally, I get to talk about that. I did.
I wrote a book. When did you write a book?
Man, for like the last year and a half or so.
This is so shocking. It knocked the smooth right out of Smooth Jaren.
I forgot. Hey, man. You wrote a book. What kind of book? Has it got pages?
It's got lots of pages.
Is it going to have a cover?
It's going to have a cover.
What if I buy it digitally?
Has it got some slick-looking pictures?
I would assume that there's going to be a digital version too, but I don't know. I don't know those details yet.
Because a lot of kids don't know what books are
right
anymore.
So, well, here's the deal. It's being published by Dark Horse, who's like, a big time publisher. They've published all of the other Masters of the Universe guidebooks that have been out, and my book's all about the toys, in case you didn't catch in on that already. I can't give a lot of details beyond that just yet, because we're waiting for Dark Horse to give their official solicitation, which is supposed to be coming coming very soon. And once they do that, I'm not going to shut up about this book because I want everybody to order it. And the pre-orders will start as soon as they solicit it. And it's going to release in summer of 2020. And I've been working my butt off on it. So I really hope you guys dig it. I think it's going to be awesome. It's something that I've wanted to see for a long time. And I'm really glad that I got to be the one to write it and put it together. So,
can you give us all the details real quick?
Sure. Okay. So it's a book about toys. And I'm going to stop right there. So there you go. But yeah, it's a Dark Horse book. I've already had a ton of questions about, is there going to be international offerings? Is there going to be digital offerings? This and that. And the only thing I can say right now is it's being published by Dark Horse. So I imagine all of those are going to be a thing. But I don't have any control over that part of it. So once they start soliciting it, we'll have full details and we'll know for sure. But I'll make sure I get that out there once it's out there.
Next year when you're a famous author, can me and Jaron get your number?
Oh, yeah. I'll make sure I get that to you guys. I'll have to change it by then.
All right.
So
I was trying to load my phone up with famous people.
Okay, all right. All right, well, let's go ahead and move away from the He-Man stuff and start talking about all dat Marvel news, probably. How about that? And then
a lot of it.
Then we'll get into some trailer talk, too.
Yeah. I guess we can segue right into rights issues, since we were talking about those.
Do you want to start there?
Might as well.
That's some good. Okay, well, let's do that then. Right before D23 began, or D23. Now you got me questioning myself on what it is. So right before that convention started, news broke on the internet that Sony was no longer going to allow Spider-Man to appear in the MCU due to some sort of a dispute. And we don't know exactly what all of those details are, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard details. I don't know how accurate they are, nor how complete they are. There's a lot of speculation over whose fault what is and all that stuff. I can give you my educated guess, but unknowledgeable take on it. And that is, because I had heard before Far From Home even came out that there was worry that if it didn't cross the $1 billion mark, then Sony might be able to break away from Marvel and make their own again and blah, 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 whatever, which I didn't put much credit to that anyway because Sony owns those rights. I don't know what the contract stated as far as them sharing, but it didn't seem to me like it would be based on box office. But I thought it was funny that there was like, when it crossed the $1 billion mark, like, okay, well, at least they don't have to worry about that. And then it's like, find out, nope, none of that meant anything because all of a sudden they've broken down again. So I don't know what agreement they had in the first place or how often they were renewing that. But from what I have heard, the basics are that what had been happening in the past is that Marvel came in and produced the movies. I believe Sony handled all the cost and got pretty much all of the box office. Except for about like a 5% takeaway I think Disney was getting. Beyond that, Disney also got to use Spider-Man in their own movies and promote him for those.
Can I just cut you off real quick?
Please do.
I just have to. I feel like it needs to be said. I'll take 5% of $1 billion. Like it sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
No joke.
But here's the deal when it comes to that stuff, and this is where we're kind of getting into the woods of it all, because depending on where you read reactions from, everyone either hates Sony or everyone hates Marvel and blah blah blah. And when it boils down to it, from my understanding of what I've read from people who probably also don't know, the basic gist was Marvel went in, or Disney went in and said, hey, we'd like to keep doing these, but we want a bigger stake in them since we're putting all this work into them. We want to start sharing costs 50-50 and then sharing revenue 50-50. And Sony basically scoffed at that. And to my understanding was like, the 5% deal's pretty good. And both of those seem fairly ridiculous to me as far as like standing your ground points. Mm-hmm. And I don't think either of them shifted much at all. You want my honest opinion? I don't know that Disney's that interested in continuing to do them because they have all these other things coming out. And Kevin Feige's going in all these other directions with all the, the Disney Plus and the TV shows and rebuilding a phase, from a new phase basically to something else that can capture everyone's attention as the Infinity Saga did. I don't know that they feel they need Spider-Man, and I don't know they feel that it's more than extra work unless they're getting an absolutely ginormous cut.
Hey. What if they just take Tom Hardy Tom Holland, and like have him just assume like a different name and just become a different character, and just like that's their solution to him getting outed by Mysterio.
Well, you can just start being the Night Monkey going forward.
Awesome. Well, but that's the gist of it. On the other side, I don't know that Sony feels that they need Marvel anymore because they made that Venom movie and it made a ton of money and people quote unquote liked it.
It made a lot of money.
I didn't love it, but I had a really good time. But I said from day one on there.
Not very smooth. You said you love Venom.
No, I said I enjoyed Venom way more than I ever would have expected because I didn't think I would like it at all. And I also said, man, that movie's dumb. But at least it's the fun kind of dumb, so I'm fine with it. But the point is, it made a ton of money. And then their Spider-Man movie came out and made a ton of money, even though it was all Marvel doing that. But they've got all these plans for these Spider-Man adjacent films that they want to do since Venom worked, but they didn't have a Spider-Man they could use with them. So I think Sony's sort of on the side of like, well, you know, Marvel helped us out and got us somewhere, but we can do these on our own, and I think we'll be fine. And from a math standpoint, I think they're probably right, because the when you get into the numbers, 5% of $1 billion is a ton of money, unless you're Disney, in which case that's pretty much the change in your car, you know? From a Sony standpoint, it's awesome that your movie made over $1 billion and that Spider-Man movie is now officially like the biggest movie your studio has ever produced. However, when you're going from 1.1 billion and now all of a sudden you're sharing half the revenue of that, now you're at 550 million, which the worst Spider-Man movies that Sony made still made more than 550 million. So you're losing money at that point, even if your movies are getting worse again.
Right.
And you're looking at it from a standpoint of going, well, maybe I won't make $1 billion on my next Spider-Man movie, but if I still make 800 million and my next Venom movie makes 900 million instead of 500 million, and the Silver Sable and Black Cat movies all cross the 500 million mark, I'm expanding this out into several. I'm making more as it goes. So from a business standpoint, I can't even be upset by this happening, particularly at either company. Now, from a personal standpoint, I'm still mad at Sony for not budging at all, and I probably should be mad at Disney for not budging at all, but they get a pass for making the last 11 years of superhero movies what they've become.
Man, I think this is non-news. I mean, we're what, two years away from either of them wanting to make a Spider-Man movie anyway. I mean, and Sony just made $1 billion. Like, of course they're gonna flex a little bit, and of course, you know, Marvel or Disney, whoever is gonna flex a little bit, and then you know what, in a couple of years when it's time to come down to it, after their lawyers have figured everything out and they've negotiated, then they're gonna make more Spider-Man movies.
Yes, mm-hmm. which would be, I was gonna say, which is my other thought in the back of my mind, going like, there's still plenty of time for this to turn around. Right. But if it doesn't, I get it on both sides. It's just an unfortunate side effect. Exactly. And it's one of those things also, like, I wanted to like Venom, I just didn't think I would. Well, then it turned out to be fun and make a bunch of money. And I wanted Marvel to keep pumping out brand new content, and now they're doubling down and making a bunch of stuff, but that makes them too busy to do other companies' movies.
What
you know?
You're saying is you're really excited for Andrew Garfield to come back as Spider-Man.
No, what I'm saying is the reasoning behind all of this happening are because of the things I wanted in the first place.
Hey, what if Sony does a live action Into the Spider-Verse and brings in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to hang out with Tom Holland?
That would be fun. I was going to say, too, the other point that makes this all super weird is, from my understanding, I think they've got Sony. Sony has Tom Holland for 2 more Spider-Man movies, whether they're Marvel produced or not. So that's not necessarily the end of this Spider-Man one way or the other. They'll have to pull out the Iron Man Jr. aspects from the movies.
Yeah, that's going to be weird. I keep thinking about that, trying to figure out how that's going to work.
That's the weirdest part.
Because so much of his story has been tied directly to these events of the MCU. Tony and the Infinity War. How weird would it really be
if they just made a Spider-Man movie and didn't bring it up, you know? Like, it would be weird if Marvel was producing it, but I feel like if Sony just makes one and gets into its story, I don't think we're going to walk away from that going, it was great, but they needed to say Tony Stark 5 more times. and then I would have liked it more.
I guess it's one of those things.
It's gonna create. I mean, you're not entirely wrong, except that if you, I mean, that's how do I explain that? It's a different movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, both of the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland have revolved around Tony Stark and have basically set him up as the
next big thing.
Heir apparent.
Yeah.
And so now if they make another movie and all that stuff is just gone and he's just not, it's not the same movie. And it's really hard to, from a narrative, storyline, sequel, continuation, however you want to say it, standpoint, it's hard to just be like, oh, well, he's not those things anymore. And he destroyed Edith and broke ties with that foundation. And you know what I mean? Like they're going to have to hand wave all that stuff away. And everybody's going to go... I mean, it breaks the immersion, I guess, because then you go, okay, well, I guess they had to do that.
Yeah.
This is you know what I mean?
I think that'll be a factor. Yeah. I think if it's done properly, you could fairly easily spin a lot of those narrative components into Oscorp without,
But that's still, I mean, you still... that almost seems worse to me.
Well, I'm not saying like you replace the memories with like it wasn't Tony, it was Norman or anything like that. I'm just saying like you fill that void of the mentor character that or whatever with a Norman or something along those lines. I'm not trying to write the movie here. I'm just saying I don't feel like it's going to ruin the experience if it's written properly to just sort of bypass some of those.
So I have 2 points. One, like the movie, you're right. The movie can still be a good Spider-Man movie, but it is not going to be a sequel to Far From Home.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? Sure, and they're going to really want it to be a sequel to Far From Home. And Sony is not smart enough to just go, well, let's just not. They're gonna try and explain why not, and it's gonna detract from it because every time because it's gonna be one of those things where every time they make a little sly something or other, like like when Norman Osborn's bodyguard is like giving him a hard time, he's gonna be like, oh, you're not very happy. You know what I mean? Oh my god! Like stuff like that. Yeah. Because Sony is. I know you love Venom, but Sony has not been good at Spider-Man movies since like the second one.
If they open that movie with a flashback to show his origin story, I'm gonna burn.
That's what
Sony
they'll finally
down.
do the Tom Holland origin.
No,
movie.
So we'll just get a prequel.
Yeah, we'll just get a prequel. Yeah, there you go. Well, it also kind of begs the question with the way the internet has reacted to it and the huge backlash and the negativity. And we've seen how that sort of thing has been affecting movie projects lately. Will that have an effect on this with the way that people have been very angry about this news and very vocal about it?
I think Sony's pretty used to angry fans.
Right. But I wonder, do you think the fan base would be strong enough to, straight up not give their money to Sony if Sony does that movie on their own? Or
no.
Do you think there'll be no
if a
effect?
Spider-Man movie comes out, it's guaranteed $500 million.
Yeah, probably.
Especially if it's because you remember, we have a podcast about this stuff. We've been immersed with this stuff all.
We're gonna go see it no matter what, right?
Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah, people like us are going to go see it, and then the other side of that coin is that those movies don't make $1 billion off of people who study the business.
Right. All the people who don't care and just go.
Right.
Y'all see that new Spider-Man movie?
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
The average Joe who liked Far From Home isn't even going to necessarily know that it was a big deal that it split off, the average Joe's 8-year-old isn't going to know that at all. He's just going to want to see Spider-Man.
I think you're right.
But those people are going to be people going,
why isn't this there? Why wasn't that there?
How come Tony Stark isn't there?
Yeah.
How come they changed this? How come this is different? I didn't really like that.
I was just going to say, judging by...
Well, I think that's more likely to affect Spider-Man 4 than Spider-Man 3.
Oh, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Judging by the amount of people I regularly try to explain the MCU to, like in my day-to-day life, outside of the nerd sphere, I think you're right. I think the general public kind of understands that there's connections there, but they aren't quite as tied up in it as we are.
Yeah. We think it's great when they reference all this stuff, But most people don't go to a Spider-Man movie expecting Iron Man.
I mean,
obviously the one where he was all over the trailers, maybe.
Man,
but
I talked to so many people who like went to see Endgame and like were either asking me first what specific movies they needed to watch before they watched Endgame, or just went to that movie without watching probably half of the MCU. You know what I mean?
So here's the argument I'm going to make with that, though. I think there is a bit of, like, there's a retention problem. Like, those people don't retain that stuff.
What do you mean, those people, Jaron?
I mean, those people that you're talking about?
Not very smooth, man.
Sorry.
The general public.
The general public may not retain that information.
General public. Oh, man.
So they don't, I think they don't retain that information, but I think they definitely get most of that stuff, and they, they see all the connections, and they want all the connections. Like, as good as all those movies are, Endgame didn't just surpass Avatar as the biggest movie of all time because people were just like, oh, look, it's a Captain America. It's the Avengers movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It passed it. Like, it is absolutely the interconnectedness that has made all this possible, all this special.
Yep.
And like, they notice, you know what I mean? And I've had just as many conversations with people going, now that this movie is connected, what movie? Because those questions all come because they know the connections there. What movies do I need to watch before I go into this? Because I know they're all connected.
Yeah.
I get a lot of questions. I get more questions of people being like, hey, they said this thing. That was from such and such, right?
That's
you know what I
cool.
mean?
Yeah, that's cool.
So like people, the general public appreciates that, and the general public watches that, and it is a big deal.
Right.
And, it is what has made all that so special and made it what it is. So to just, you can't just discount that as like, well, only us nerds really care. Like, only us nerds retain it, catalog it, can tell you instantly what it's from the minute they make that joke. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And can pick out what was a joke from a movie, what's a nod to the comics, what was, remember in that cartoon from 1977 when they did this? That's why he said this and this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
But they still, like, all those jokes and all the interconnectedness still is important and is still part of what the general public comes for.
Well, for sure. But I think my point was more, just strictly looking from like a number standpoint, is that you don't get movies that big without appealing to all kinds.
Right.
And so if you do upset every nerd, and if the internet goes on a rampage and puts petitions together, and we all agree right here and now today that we're not going to spend $12 on the next Spider-Man movie that Sony produces if Marvel's not involved. If everyone on the internet that really pays attention to this stuff does that, and all of the people who don't go, you're still probably looking at close to 500 million.
Yeah.
Just with them.
I'm on Stubbs' A-list, so I'll just make sure I see 2 other movies that month, and so then I'll get...
You just even it out.
I'll get the Spider-Man one for free. So.
There you go.
So here's another thought, too, and I don't know if this would even come about, but we've seen in the past when Fox wasn't ready to play ball with Fantastic Four and X-Men.
I don't think they're going to buy Sony, Dan.
No. That's not what I'm getting at. But you know what Marvel did in those cases is they totally froze out the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. They canceled Fantastic Four's comic book. They did not allow toys to be made of those characters. They pulled way back on the X-Men, but they didn't fully go in on canceling them because they're still popular. They
did a whole event that wrote them out of existence.
They froze those characters out of existence. If Marvel's mad enough, will they do that to a character like Spider-Man?
They did it to the X-Men, so yes.
I was about to say, well, I mean, Spider-Man's always been their biggest, but X-Men were always their second. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think you're wrong there at all. However,
I mean, before, the Fantastic Four were their biggest until, Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man was their biggest until the X-Men, and
Spider-Man was their biggest after the X-Men also.
Well,
But I mean, X-Men ruled the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Like that was, but they've always, basically those 3 are some of their tops.
Yeah.
And they did not shy away from just straight,
I think when you get down to merchandising and stuff like that, though, I think Spider-Man's a whole different animal as far as that stuff goes.
I mean, Spider-Man is so popular with the kids. So popular.
I mean, and I'm not discounting at all how much X-Men merch they probably moved, especially back in the 90s and stuff. I don't know if that slowed down over the years or not. When it switched from being, a Saturday morning cartoon to a series of movies that got increasingly weirder for a while there and stuff like that. I don't know. I have no idea how much that hurt the merchandising and whatnot. It was surprising to me that they were willing to take that hit for the movie business, even though the movie business is way bigger, even on the merchandising front of how that goes. But I would be, even knowing that they did it with the X-Men and it didn't bottom them out by any means, I would still be pretty surprised if they took
if they did that to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see.
So many T-shirts and lunchboxes and watches.
He's everywhere.
And glasses and I mean, it is just that thing is a juggernaut. To be like canceling Superman. It's the same thing. Like, that's your logo right there. Mm-hmm. So I would be surprised to see that, but who knows?
Well, and then on
the other thing is, I don't think, again, my just gut feeling says I don't think Marvel's mad about it. I think Marvel went to them with a number that they didn't think Sony would take. And they went, this is the number that Sony has to take in order for us to feel like it's worth it. But I don't think there was necessarily animosity there. I think they went, Kevin Feige looked at the 9 TV shows he produces now and the, movie universe that he's essentially trying to rebuild to reach similar heights again. I think he looked at all that stuff and went, well, I really like Spider-Man. I would love Spider-Man to be here, but I can't justify doing it for 5%. And really, I can barely justify doing it at all. Maybe for half I could, and that's why I think that's why neither side budged, is because I don't think either side cares that much.
I think you're right, and I think you're making a point that support. Like, I think they'll feel that way about promoting Spider-Man comics. I mean, I'm sure they will never stop. When they did the X-Men, they completely wrote out the Fantastic Four, but like when the X-Men, they were just like, well, let's just cut it down to like Wolverine and Rogue and Cyclops, the ones we can't get rid of.
Yeah.
I could see him doing that, to Spider-Man. Like, well, we can't get rid of Spider-Man, but he doesn't need 4 books.
Yeah.
That's totally what they'll do.
Yeah,
they'll streamline it.
Yep.
Which, for the record, he probably doesn't need 4 books.
Yeah. Well, and then, on the other side of this, one of the other big things they just announced at D23 is that they're building a Spider-Man ride in Disneyland. So he's getting a designated ride out there.
That changes.
I don't know. They just showed everything for it. Like, they've got the ride vehicles and everything, and it's based on the films.
And that's the thing.
And it's because
and that's why I don't think they're going to do much with movies. I don't think they care. I think they're just happy making their Spider-Man money. And if Sony keeps making good movies, they'll make more on the merchandising.
Disney
that'll be great.
Apparently has full rights for the theme park stuff. Like, Sony doesn't have any say in the theme park side of it. So like they can use that in the theme park out there.
They don't have the theme park.
Because they're building Avengers Campus out there, which is basically Marvel Land as part of Disneyland now. So now we're going to have a Marvel Land out there too. And there's going to be 3 rides. One of them is already there because they turned the Tower of Terror into a Guardians of the Galaxy ride, which is amazing. It's so good.
Are they going to have a Tony Stark nightclub?
Oh my God, I hope so.
I'll just go stay there.
So there's a Spider-Man ride, and then
I don't need any of the rides.
Some sort of Avengers themed ride
by doing this.
Oh my God.
I just hope Robert Downey Jr. is there peeing the costume all day. People always ask me how I go to the bathroom in the suit.
Yeah. That's just what he does now. Now that the movies are done, he just hangs out at Disneyland, peeing in the Iron Man suit all day.
Paying you to be here, Robert? They're not. They gave me this suit. But
they have free drinks all day long.
All right, last thing I want to say on this, I made a joke on Twitter during all of this. That's
bold move,
right? I know. Well, this is why I'm going to get to it. I made a joke that just said. And I thought it was clearly a joke.
Should I start following you on Twitter?
Yeah. Well, you don't?
I don't get on Twitter.
All I said was, I really hope this whole Sony Marvel fight over Spider-Man is just a clever way for them to introduce Ben Reilly into the MCU. And then that immediately was followed up with hundreds of people explaining to me why that couldn't happen because Ben Reilly's part of the Spider-Man universe and therefore Sony owns Ben Reilly and he can only appear in Sony movies. And I was just like, okay, internet, thanks. I mean, like, I thought I was making a clever joke.
I was 100% sure when you started that story it was going to end with death threats.
No, so nobody got mad at me.
I'm glad that's where it went.
It was just a lot of people just not understanding that I was clearly making a joke.
I just can't remember the last time a story started with, so I posted this tweet, and it didn't end with death threats.
I know. So. Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, because it was really funny to me to picture Tom Holland with his hair dyed blonde and them calling him Ben Reilly instead of Peter Parker, and now it's the Scarlet Spider movies because they can't use Spider-Man, but I don't know.
Did you see?
Joke was lost on everybody.
Did you see Hinton Muppets retweeted one of my tweets?
No, what was your tweet?
I tweeted, I was watching Dark Crystal.
Oh, I haven't had a chance to
First
yet.
one, I was watching the original.
Oh, the movie. Okay.
And I was just blown away.
I've heard nothing but good things about that new show. I can't wait.
I started it. It's good.
Oh, I can't wait. I gotta watch it.
Yeah, but I was watching the old one, and I just tweeted something about they got more expression and emotion in the 1970s out of these Muppets than the new Lion King got out of their photorealistic CGI.
And they retweeted that? Ooh, bold move. Disney owns the Muppets. Dang. You go, Henson. Awesome.
Yeah, I was pretty excited.
All right, well, so lots of other things were talked about at D23. I'm just going to alternate the way I say it now. See how I'm doing that?
I like it.
Yeah.
That's good.
We got a lot more information on a lot of the Disney Plus shows, or at least just more. We learned more shows that were coming. I don't think we still know a ton about a lot of these shows. I think we learned a little bit more about WandaVision because we were talking about that, right?
Yeah. Because they released us, and my understanding is it's sort of like the starting point. At least I think, like somebody was saying, it melds pretty quick into what you would consider a Marvel show to look like more. But they released a poster for it and a synopsis for at least the earlier parts of it, and it basically is like the 1950s sitcom of the MCU. It sounds like
super weird.
Yeah, it's really it's got a very Dick Van Dyke vibe to it, is what they say, and the poster matches up with that. But
I like the Did you notice on the poster, like the shadows on the wall look like Vision and Scarlet Witch? And did you notice that Scarlet Witch looks like she's wearing the tiara thing, like in the comics?
Yep.
I don't know. I got excited about weird little details like that, but I think that's cool.
They kind of had to do that to like differentiate,
so that we would know that that's what. Yeah, you're right. But
whether
still,
she ever puts that thing on or not.
Yeah. I don't know. Like she said something along the lines of like we're gonna get real weird with this. We're gonna go to some strange places, but we're really gonna develop who the Scarlet Witch character is with this show. So that sounds really interesting to me. So I would imagine that this is all taking place in her mind, or that she's warping some sort of reality with her powers or something.
It is supposed to lead right into the next Doctor Strange movie, which is called The Multiverse of Madness. So,
which is I feel like we're setting her up to be the villain for the new Doctor Strange with this. I think it's possible, right?
That'd be cool.
I mean, I know that she's
losing her mind.
Well, and like she's crazy powerful.
Yeah.
Like isn't she the one that wiped the mutants out of existence in the comics?
Yep.
Like, so we know that she's capable of like.
They've been teasing how strong she is through all the MCU movies that she's a part of.
Haven't we?
She was about to kill Thanos.
Yeah.
Like straight up, like not maybe, not could have, not.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Like she was gonna kill Thanos, and
then the fire got rained down.
Right.
Were we talking?
Rain Thanos.
Rain Thanos. A bunch of Thanos. Just come crashing down. Were we talking about on here?
Never seen so many dead Thanoses in all my life.
I can't remember if in any of the Marvel Good Yays have we talked about her wiping out mutants before. And were we having the discussion about...
I feel like we have, but...
So, because I feel like we've had the discussion before about the possibility of them kind of doing the reverse of that in the movies and her making the mutants exist in the MCU, and that's how we start that whole thing. That'd be interesting.
I don't remember that ever coming up.
Okay.
But I'm going to go back and re-listen to every episode of Marvel Didier.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Just to find out if it did or not, and you should too.
That's a good idea.
Unless you haven't heard them yet, in which case just go back and listen to them
for the first time. They're always good to listen to. Those are evergreen podcasts. They go with every movie. Watch a movie, listen to the podcast about it. Watch the next movie, repeat.
Exactly.
Moving on from WandaVision, let's talk about the new shows that they announced that we didn't already know
There's new
about.
shows?
There's new shows. So we're getting She-Hulk.
She-Hulk?
Yes! And we're getting Moon Knight.
Moon Knight?
I'm so amped for Moon Knight. You have no idea.
What else?
Was there another one besides those two?
Yeah, there was a third, wasn't there?
Was there? Everything I'm looking at just keeps saying She-Hulk and Moon Knight getting their own Disney Plus shows. Maybe the third.
I don't remember third.
So, okay, so we're getting...
I just remember the news on WandaVision.
So, yeah, there's the Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki, What If, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk. That's all that's listed on this one.
Well, maybe it was all the information on WandaVision.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that's all there is. Because we already knew about the other shows. I was about to do
an overly excited bit, and I totally killed my own thunder there. But I'm kind of happy because it was going to take a lot of energy.
That's and why I did not you just got to be cool, man.
Well, I'm excited.
Learn to be chill.
Oh my I'm excited for Moon Knight. I've been waiting for them to announce a Moon Knight show since the Netflix shows because I always felt like he would have fit right into that universe, the street level, vigilante universe that they created for Netflix.
The shows are so good.
Moon Knight would have been perfect there. So I'm really glad to see that they're going to give him a shot on Disney Plus. I think he's going to be a great character for a series.
Miss Marvel. Suckers, I was right.
Oh, that's right. The modern Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
What's
Kamala
her name?
Khan.
Yeah, that's right. This article totally left her out. No, you're right. It was Miss Marvel. So
Good
that's
job,
really cool,
Jen.
too.
I won the show today.
I know very little about that Miss Marvel, other than she has stretchy powers or something.
Yeah, I heard the creator was saying, it's great that they're giving her a show. It's going to look really weird on film. I did not create this for a cinematic experience.
That's hilarious. Oh my god, that's so.
I guess she can make parts of her body bigger, but the other parts don't get bigger or whatever. I have no idea what that's going to look like.
It's real weird looking. I've seen lots of art and everything of her, and she was in one of those animated series they did that was her and Spider-Gwen and. A couple of the other heroes, Squirrel Girl. Yeah, because they did that whole doll line of those characters. Yeah.
Could 100% just change her powers.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, Jessica Jones, that's what they did for Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones in the comics just flew.
Yeah.
But she didn't even fly in the Marvel.
They did it one time, right?
No, she just jumped.
She just jumped really far.
She just jumped really far.
Yeah.
And she was super strong and indestructible. So they could 100% just be I don't want to mess with this stretchy thing. Just make her bulletproof.
Make her bulletproof.
Call it good.
I wonder if they'll tie her to Captain Marvel at all or have some kind of connection there. I would imagine
no reason not
has to be, right?
Especially with the name.
Because Captain Marvel was the original Miss Marvel.
But not in this universe.
That's true. They skipped right over that in this universe. Because we didn't, Yeah.
But I mean, the new one just took up the namesake, right?
In the comics, the new one just took up the namesake. But you can't just take up the namesake because in the MCU, Captain Marvel was never Miss Marvel. She was...
No, but if they start referring to her as Captain Marvel, she can do it as an homage.
That's fine, I guess. Yeah, that's
something like that. So She-Hulk will be really cool too, I think, as a series.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that concept. I hope they're going to go the route of her being Bruce Banner's cousin and... The blood transfusion is what gives her the gamma powers.
That's how they're always describing the character since they announced the show, but those aren't official synopses, so who knows?
It kind of makes me wonder if we'll see some Bruce in that. I think that would be a lot of fun if we got a little bit of that in there, especially if we got some fun team-up stuff with She-Hulk and Hulk. That'd be fun. But I also wonder if they're going to do like a drama courtroom kind of thing with her since she's like a lawyer.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Right?
Yeah.
If they make the show almost like
the MCU, the practice.
Yeah. Yeah, but also with superpowers.
Yeah. I'm in.
It could be really interesting to see what they do with it.
I wonder if they could link to those Netflix shows that way because that Hogarth was one of the main connecting threads. So if they did some
that
stuff like
character's
that
from the comics too.
Yeah.
Although I think it was a male in the comics. They changed
Jerry Hogarth.
Yeah, but like he was like the lawyer of the heroes, right?
Yeah.
Was like that character. But that would be really cool if they could connect those. But I think Netflix has the rights to all of that stuff for a certain amount of time.
But it's only like 2 years by the time these shows come out.
That's true. So Disney. Oh, I wonder if. I wonder if they're going to do anything else with Daredevil and anything once that all lapses. That'd be awesome.
I'd like to see it, but I'll hold my breath, or I won't hold my breath. Which one won't kill me?
Don't hold your breath.
Okay, I won't hold my breath.
I think one of the things that they specifically said about all these characters for these Disney Plus series is that they're all open to appear in the movies too.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. I think they just left that as like an open possibility, saying any of these guys you see on the shows could show up in any of the movies too. So I think that's
well, and
cool.
it's that connectivity we always wanted out of the Netflix shows, because every time it's like, oh, Infinity War, are we going to see Daredevil in the background and stuff like that? But now it's like, we'll probably see She-Hulk in the background the next time they fight an intergalactic threat. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. They just completely stopped doing that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So.
That's
Agents
true.
of S.H.I.E.L.D. hasn't even... Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't even acknowledge the blip or, like, anything like that.
Super weird.
Yes.
Really? I'm waiting on that still.
Yeah, well, they did a lot
of... Oh, sorry, spoilers.
That's
they
fine.
also did a lot of weird time travel stuff with that, too, so it all just sort of kind of got lost in the muck as far as that goes. But yeah.
Well, except they did, but not. There was no time skipping. They went back to the right times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they it's not like they were gone and they came back at a different time, so they must have just missed the blip. Like there was some weird time stuff, but actually okay. Okay. Might not be too late.
The other thing too, though, with that is, like, I mean, even with Netflix, they were in the Marvel universe, but they kept it very separated. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had a bunch of crossover stuff, and they moved away from that. Man. But these are shows with new characters we haven't seen yet, but they're following other shows that are starring people from the movies. So I feel like it's a different animal.
It probably is a different animal. I feel like it should not be a different animal with Agents, because Agents... I mean, Coulson came straight out of the movies.
Yeah.
And they were involved...
Well, and
they were involved at the end of Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
But... I was also super just an aside, and I know you guys aren't caught up, but you both have seen Jessica Jones 2, right?
Yes.
Season 2?
I've gone through most of it, yes. But not all of it.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's a huge spoiler. At the beginning of Jessica Jones, at the beginning of Season 3, she's kind of like known. And, like, people kind of are like, hey, you're Jessica Jones, you're that super chick, blah, blah, whatever. Like, that's kind of a thing at the beginning of that season. Mm-hmm. I was super disappointed they didn't, like, at no point, it would have been so easy for them to incorporate something where, like, she was known, and it was okay that she was known because she signed the Accords.
Yeah,
and was just and was like because like she was known, like people knew she was a private investigator and had superpowers and all that stuff. So it just would have been a super cool connection to the movies for them just to be like, oh hey, she signed the Accord, she's legit.
Totally,
that's why she's. And they didn't do stuff
like
that.
They didn't
so
do
like,
that. Yeah,
the only thing they really did connectivity wise was
reference
the New York
incident. Yep, that's really it.
I still love those shows. Go watch all the Netflix shows.
I do too. I love them.
Awesome. You can skip. You can't really skip Iron Fist. I wish you could skip Iron Fist.
My name is Danny Rand.
It also, it hurts me to say, but now that they've been canceled, you could totally skip Luke Cage season 2.
Really? Not so good, huh?
Now that it's been canceled,
but it's got Iron Fist.
Now that
it's
been canceled,
you can't skip Iron Fist.
That was the best episode. Yeah. Honestly, like it double pains me to say that the episode with Luke Cage where Iron Fist shows up in season 2, my favorite episode of that season.
Yeah,
yeah.
Heroes for Hire.
So it's just a lot. It's so much setup. Like they had big plans for season 3. You can tell.
That sucks.
Yeah, and so now that there's not going to be one of those, You can skip it.
Dang.
I love Luke Cage.
Unless there is one on Hulu in 2 years.
Yeah, unless there's one on Hulu, but then you can go back and watch it then.
Yeah, there you go.
But I loved Luke Cage. I really liked the guy who played Luke Cage.
Me too.
Yep.
I'll stop talking about the Netflix shows now.
Okay. Well, it looks like Disney Plus just keeps getting better and better. I'm really excited to check out all this content that's going to be on there. It's insane how much content we're getting now between all these shows and the movies.
Yeah. 1987 DuckTales are going to be available at launch.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There's just there's so much
all
good
I needed
stuff.
to know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, what about Darkwing Duck?
I don't remember if that was on the list or not.
That better be coming though.
If it's not, I'm out.
A lot of that stuff.
Let's get dangerous.
Honestly, the launch list I read was a little disappointing. I just expected there to be a lot more of the stuff.
Yeah.
There's a spattering of Marvel movies. Like all the Star Wars stuff is available. But I didn't just like
the Simpsons.
I think,
well, they probably want to hold.
I think a ton of Pixar stuff, but a lot of like older Disney stuff.
Every episode of The Simpsons on
Disney Plus.
That's insane.
Every episode. That's like 40 seasons or whatever, however long it's been on.
Hey, can we do a Springfield Easy?
Oh my God!
I'm in.
Just for every episode.
I'm in.
No, not every episode.
Every
season at a time.
Every
season at a time. Well, that's still 23 episodes, so yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we could do like every, 4 or 5 episodes, something like that. Yeah, there's like 23 seasons. We should probably just do.
There's like 30. Close to.
I think it's like almost 30 seasons, right?
I think it started.
Isn't that crazy? That show's been on forever.
I think it started in the late 80s, if not very early 90s.
No, it was like 88, I think.
Yeah.
That means every time I click on a YouTube video that I think looks cool and they're like, oh, season 3, it's like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I know. Season 23 is like a 6-year-old.
Yeah, probably.
Yep.
Probably.
I know the Tracy Ullman stuff was late 80s. I just can't remember when it transitioned into its own show.
Yeah.
Right around there. So
they had that Christmas special first, which I remember watching that night, and then it turned into a series after that. That's crazy. I'll probably end up watching a bunch of those, honestly.
Yeah,
now that they're on a streaming thing,
I think I will too.
That'll be a thing that you just flip on.
Catch up on a bunch.
Yeah, totally.
But that's the thing. Like when I was looking down the list, I was like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff I was hoping to be on there. However, they're going to continuously add stuff and
right.
stuff.
That's what I was going to say. They probably want to hold some of that stuff back, get it launched, make sure start working out some of the bugs, and then every year or so they'll want to release some stuff. Some have big releases to make. If you sign up now, you can see every episode of Chippendale's Rescue Rangers, and I think
subscribers through the roof. They are. It's episodes 1 through 7, and Rogue One will be available at launch. So they'll be missing 8 and Solo, but I believe both of those will be in before episode 9 comes out. I think I think within like a month or a month and a half. I think those are both coming.
I think both those are still on Netflix.
Yeah, which I'm sure is why there's the delay.
And The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Which I am so excited about.
So that's not either of the Fets?
No, it's not either of the Fets.
Okay.
Well, here's the deal.
Right?
It's me.
Wow.
We don't know who he is yet. They have not told us a name for this character. He's just the Mandalorian. But the premise of the show says that it takes place 5 years after the fall of the Empire, before the emergence of the First Order. So this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, is the time frame that this sets in. Boba Fett fell into the Sarlacc pit in the movies, but he got out of the Sarlacc pit, and I think that's canon that he got out of the Sarlacc pit. They could pull a swerve on us, and maybe this is Boba Fett, and they're just not telling us. Or it could be just a totally new character wearing Mandalorian armor.
I didn't know
which is a thing.
Yeah,
there's other Mandalorians out there. So
I didn't know if they had canonized that or not, because
that he was out of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I knew that it happened before, but once Disney took over, the only things that were canon were the movies.
You're
and
right.
That Clone Wars cartoon, but then everything Disney produced afterwards, I thought was supposed to be for the most part.
Yes, was canon.
And I haven't,
I'm sure
there's been 100 books at least by now, and I haven't read any.
But also, even if it's not canon right now, they could do whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
They could make that canon if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So it just says, the only premise says that it follows a lone bounty hunter in the outer reaches of the galaxy. So that's the premise. But
it's weird.
The trailer
didn't look very lone.
Yeah, we saw it looked like IG-88 in the trailer, which is like that robot bounty hunter, the skinny one from Empire Strikes Back. But apparently it's actually IG-11, so it's a different one, and it's voiced by Taika Waititi.
Oh, nice.
So that's amazing.
Awesome. That's a Favreau show, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Didn't I see? Who did I see?
But
Creed. Didn't I see Apollo Creed in there?
Yeah, Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers.
Is in
That's
there.
what. Yeah.
Yep.
Carl Weathers.
He's the leader of a bounty hunter guild who hires the Mandalorian to track valuable assets. So that's the character he's playing. But yeah, we don't really know. Weathers. But there was a lot of. I
hope they just slap 5 and like flex.
Every episode ends with the end of.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, every episode. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Boba. You son of a... That's what I want.
Every episode.
That's what I want every episode.
Me too.
And they can like freeze frame. Ba-da-da.
The trailer looked great, and I love the vibe, the feel of the whole thing. It's got just a very cool, like, very Star Warsy feel, like nice gritty kind of Star Warsy feel. The bounty hunters themselves have always been very exciting and have always had a big fan following, so it's cool that they're going to do something specifically surrounding bounty hunters away from the Skywalker stuff and everything.
That's what I've been dying for.
I think it's going to be so much fun.
The clips they showed they look like movie quality
production. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing that I'm still... for all of these shows, the Marvel, the Star Wars, all the stuff that they're doing TV. Because, I mean, like, I love the Netflix show, but they're clearly a different scale and type than, like, the movies, you know? And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is very much a network television show adjacent to the movies. I don't know what to expect from these TV shows as far as that goes. And most of them are pretty limited series, too. I don't even know if they're expecting to do multiple seasons of, like, those Marvel shows.
Yeah, they might be just one-and-done deals.
I think a lot of those are probably going to play more like miniseries. But, I mean, if they're putting the same style and effort and money into the TV shows that they do the movies and then just plopping them on a streaming service, you know, holy crap.
I'm excited. It looks great to me. So just the stuff like this that I'm seeing is like the perfect reason to jump in on this, right?
The Obi-Wan show too, didn't they?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We got the official confirmation that Ewan McGregor is returning to the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I think that is fantastic news because if there's one thing I love from the prequels, it's Ewan McGregor's portrayal of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I think that there's some fun stories you can tell of him on Tatooine before Luke Skywalker comes of age.
Yeah, for sure. Or doing whatever, you know.
Right.
I don't disagree with anything you've said, but I still I'm out on that.
Really?
I'm gonna watch it,
man.
But I'm out on it.
I'm excited.
I think when we talked about Solo, I talked about this. I am just done with that.
With the prequel idea.
Through line.
Okay.
No, just that story. Like
you know
just
what
that
I mean? Storyline.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you mean.
You know, that's the thing. That's the thing I loved the most about Last Jedi was all the ways it started to diverge from that storyline, and that's why I'm super not that into Rise of the Skywalker because we're just going back everything. We're just going back.
Well, in fairness, that's what the third trilogy was supposed to be about, ending the
Skywalker story. Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be a continuation through of that. So
yes,
yeah.
I just got done.
It doesn't change your opinion at all.
Well, I just got done with it way early. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't.
How about the Rogue One prequel? You in on that?
No.
The Rogue One prequel.
Yeah, the other show they're doing.
Oh, that's right, because it's Cassian Andor
and Alan Tudyk's robot.
Okay, like that seems. That's the one that I'm like. I don't feel like I'm on board with that because like I liked those characters fine, especially the droid 21B. No, 21B is the medical droid. What was that guy's name? K2SO. I liked K2SO a lot in that movie, and
I got all I needed of that.
He would be fun, I guess, in a series, but like I don't know.
I mean, isn't that what you guys are talking about? Like more Star Wars stories that aren't Skywalker adjacent?
You're right, but
let's move it forward because that one
is not moving it forward. It's taking place between the.
But at
that
least
one branches. It looks like it branches way off Now, if they go off and it curves right back in, it's going to take me out while I'm watching that.
Well, these guys never had anything to do with any of that stuff until Rogue One. So,
but we know 100% what happens to those characters, where they die, where they end up.
That's always weird when we know how things are going to end with a character before they give us an entire series to care about them.
No, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's always weird to me.
The Mandalorians will not, unless they, or the Mandalorian cast, unless they show up in Rise of Skywalker, they don't show. You know what I mean? It's not like Carl Weathers showed up in first. I'm in the first one with Rey.
Right.
You know, and died. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Now I'm hoping they just have like a one-line throwaway to, all these bounty hunters just got murdered. just to ruin that series.
I am excited for the Obi-Wan show.
I'd still be fine with that, unless they're like, all these bounty hunters died, bringing us this thing that's so important.
You know what I
mean? Like, they're just like, did you guys hear about that massacre at such and such? And then, like, in the first episode of The Mandalorian, they're like, hey, we got to get to such and such.
Yeah,
there's treasure there. And I'm like,
many bounty hunters.
Sounds like a bad idea, guys, but I'm in.
I'm excited for the Obi-Wan show because when they first started talking about doing all those one-off movies, like when they announced Solo and then they were going to do like all those other ones before they canned that idea, the one that I thought made the most sense that I wanted to see was Ewan McGregor coming back as Obi-Wan. Yeah. So I'm totally cool with them doing this as a show or like a mini-series or whatever they're doing here with it. I think that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be interesting to see... I don't know, like if there's interaction with Owen and Beru and why Owen ends up like hating him so much, kind of a thing.
I
and
doubt
like
it's a show of just him on Tatooine.
You think he'll leave the planet and do some stuff?
I think there'd be more.
There's got to be a little bit more to it.
It's just him and Watto and
just hanging out with Watto.
It's like watching
podcasts.
It's like Cheers in the cantina.
Life is super boring now.
We're gonna get more Darth Maul, aren't we?
Oh, we have to get more Darth Maul. That's like if they continue that storyline from the cartoons, from the Clone Wars and everything. Yeah, absolutely. That's like Darth Maul kind of became like his Darth Vader, his arch rival, because he cut him in half in Phantom Menace. But then he came back with robot legs in the Clone Wars, and then like just kept coming back. So I would not be surprised if that's like a thing. Yeah.
And so if they're doing the whole thing on Tatooine, it'll just be Darth Maul hunting him on Tatooine or something like that.
But I'd be okay with that.
Potentially.
That could be fun.
I just imagine it'll be more galaxy jumping, but who knows?
We will see.
I just want to see it like Cheers and Mos Eisley.
Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh, just hanging out the cantina.
Sometimes you want to go
where droids aren't allowed inside the bar. All right. I think that is everything to talk about from that specific show. Lots of stuff for Disney Plus, but that's really cool. But there have been a few new trailers outside of the one we just talked about for The Mandalorian that dropped. I guess we can go right into the Star Wars one since we're on Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
They dropped a brand new trailer for Rise of Skywalker.
Yep.
Real quick, because I don't know where else to put it, and I feel like I'm going to forget. The same time the announcements came out about the Spider-Man thing going south, I think that was the same day that they had the news about Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss returning for a Wachowski-directed Matrix 4.
What?
Oh, you haven't even heard that?
I did not hear that.
Okay, that's all a thing.
Oh,
I think it's only one Wachowski, and I don't know which one.
I don't know how I feel about that. Because I liked the first Matrix and didn't like either of the other two. I liked the animated stuff that they did. Remember the Animatrix? I thought that stuff was fun. But like seriously, like the first movie was awesome, and then everything after that, I just kind of was like, meh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So 2 and 3 were garbage, and I hated them. I hated 2 so much. 3, I felt like
I liked 2 so much better than 3.
I will agree with that.
I felt like 3 was the best possible movie it could have been after they destroyed everything with 2, but it still wasn't good.
I don't disagree.
But like I said, like I'm not excited about this news. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I also maybe I don't remember how the Matrix ended all that well, but I didn't even think Neo survived.
No.
Nor did Trinity?
No.
Yeah, so who knows what that means.
Super weird.
But the whole premise is that
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. for sure. So they could do whatever they wanted with it, and maybe they'll fix the whole thing. Who knows?
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm not.
Well, I doubt they'll fix it. I'm into the idea of because some people chose to stay in the Matrix, some people chose not to be in the Matrix, and the deal at the end was that the robots agreed to give people a choice and run on depleted power cells.
Yeah.
To what I mean?
Yeah.
To keep the Matrix intact, to run on depleted power cells and let everybody else go free or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested in a story that's here's what happened with that Matrix, and oh look, Neo and Trinity are a thing again, and you know what I mean. So I don't know. I'd be interested in that. Yeah. I don't know where they're gonna go.
Well, the other thing is with the Wachowskis aren't a brand that excites me. They've made interesting movies since The Matrix, but they've also made some hot garbage since The Matrix.
They should just make The Matrix versus V for Vendetta. I don't watch that.
Or they could just make another V for Vendetta.
Just make another V for Vendetta.
So it's one of those.
Everybody done that too. That'd be even more problematic than making another Matrix.
Fair point. Unless they do it inside the Matrix.
Oh, jeez, this is getting crazy.
I'd watch Neo BB. Neo B.
I was about to say
VO. I'd watch VO.
If The Matrix 4 is just Neo and Trinity running through all of the other Wachowski movies, in computer simulation,
like Speed Racer,
yeah, and good ones maybe.
Dang,
Speed Racer sucks.
I didn't see Speed Racer.
It's really bad. So
go Speed Racer. Go.
But like I said, that wasn't news that excited me. Yeah. It's not news that I'm horrified by. It's just news.
It's just news. It's just there. Yeah. All right, what'd you think about that Star Wars trailer? There wasn't a lot to it, was there?
Yeah, they
did that thing.
I'm already excited for the movie, and then I saw the trailer. I'm like, there's more footage that I'm excited to see in context.
Yeah, they did that thing where they just showed a bunch of clips from every Star Wars movie that has come out, and then gave us a few real fast flashes from the new movie.
I got the to say the feels is not the right expression in this sensibility here, but I got something from the beginning when they were doing that.
Oh, they did that. That's what they wanted from you.
Yeah,
that's
for sure. Hey, I liked that part of it, and I didn't dislike the rest of it. I just didn't get anything. It's not like they gave me a bunch of plot points that I'm super interested in. They gave me images that a bunch of people were freaking out about, but then it's images don't mean anything.
Right, exactly.
So, that doesn't give me story points.
Obviously, I think the big one, right, that everybody's kind of freaking out about is the Dark Ray scene.
Yeah.
Where she's got a weird Swiss Army double-bladed lightsaber. I like how we just keep making the light. Why do we just have to keep adding new gimmicks to the lightsaber?
Sell toys.
I guess.
You of all people should know
You're right. I of all people should understand what they're doing there. But yeah, so she's got a double-bladed red lightsaber. She looks all dark and evil. It's a real quick flash. And it could be anything. It could be a weird vision in the movie. It could be...
I'm going to go on record with a prediction here and say that Rey does not go dark in that movie.
Bold prediction, John. Bold prediction.
That's my guess.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm just going to straight up say she goes bad, and that's the end of the Skywalker saga.
Wow.
She just murders Kylo Ren.
And everybody.
Yep. You heard it here first, folks.
Chops him in half down the middle, so there's no...
So he can't come back with robot legs later.
Right, there's no
I learned
robot
this from Obi-Wan.
Or there'll just be two of them, and
half robot, half Kylo.
One's real emotional and an artist, and one's super logical and does math and stuff.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That's awesome.
I want that. That sounds like best Star Wars. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to release any more footage, or is this that thing where they're just we don't want to give too much away?
As I said, they don't need to. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I'm positive she doesn't go dark, because that wouldn't be in the trailer.
Exactly.
If that was a real thing.
You're right. That totally would not be. So yeah, there we go. Star Wars.
It'd be interesting because they've kind of been. I almost feel like they've been sort of leaning towards the idea of light and dark, blurring the lines between the lights, the light side and the dark side.
Yeah.
At least starting to do that. So it'd be cool if she went Sith, but was still a good guy. You know what I mean? Or I don't know, like how, like exactly not like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, you know, if she was like, well, you know what, I feel more pulled towards the dark side. I'm still going to kill Kylo Ren and all the First Order.
Yeah. So that's basically like her, like that's her version of bridging the two or something.
Yeah.
That's interesting, too, because you feel like there's promises of this grand ending. Mm-hmm. And from a character standpoint, I hope there will be a bunch of closure. But, like, I also don't think they're going to, like, destroy the concept of light and dark and then go make a bunch of new movies and TV shows and whatever. Like, they have to keep some semblance of what the world is. So that's kind of one of those things where on the bright side, hey, we get tons of Star Wars for the rest of our lives, and on the downside, nothing that big will ever probably happen.
Yeah.
You know?
I heard somebody suggest Movie Bob, who is a YouTuber, and he was speculating some stuff, pure speculation, but he brought up that he always thought it was weird that there was no other clones, you know, that they just did that whole clone army. Yep. And then they were like, well, guess we're done with cloning. Yeah. You know, and so he thought it might be cool if, like, showed up and it was a Rey clone or something, you know, or that's why, you know, or there was a bunch of her, or she was part of that somehow, so there's, like, other Rey clones.
I've kind of seen, and I almost even kind of feel like it's super possible that Rey herself is a clone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what he was suggesting, and that she's one of...
Yeah, so she's one of... So that could be one of the other clones.
Right.
Well, especially since we're obviously getting Palpatine back at this point. I don't think that's any sort of surprise now, because he's straight up on the movie poster now. If you've seen the new movie poster, like, it's got Palpatine's hood and eyes with Rey and Kylo fighting on the bottom. And obviously, like, he's the clone guy, right? He's the guy that was making all the clones and all that stuff. So if we find out that, you know, Rey... They told us already that her parents weren't important. They were nobodies. Blah, blah, blah. Well, what if she didn't actually have any parents? She was a clone. What if the reason she's so strong in the Force is because she's cloned from Anakin Skywalker?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So that's her connection to the Skywalker lineage. You know what I mean? And it makes perfect sense with Palpatine. Yep. Because why wouldn't he, like, try to clone Anakin? Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. Keep that whole thing moving forward. And Emperor Palpatine's probably a clone himself. Who, you know? Uh-huh. So
clone that got thrown down the thing.
He probably cloned himself. I mean, that was definitely a thing in the books.
Yeah.
Which those books have been wiped out of canon at this point. But doesn't mean they can't retell those ideas. Exactly. So I would not be surprised if that's the direction we're headed. Yeah. And it would tie everything together. Yeah. So
I just want this movie to have something to do with the Knights of Ren or whatever they were called, because that was like this big thing leading into, like, before episode 7. It was like, oh, Kylo Ren, and he leads the Knights of Ren, and now we've gone through 2 movies and we're like,
there's been no Knights.
Yeah, there's been nothing. You know?
We're supposed to see them in this movie. I think they have flat out said that we will see the Knights of Ren in this movie.
So. Hey, what if that dark side Rey shows up and she's just like number 4 from Multiplicity?
I like pizza, Steve.
Yeah, we cloned her from a clone.
Clone of a clone.
She turned out to be a Sith, but it's not.
But she just wants pizza.
She cuts herself in. She flips that thing open and immediately cuts herself in half. That's it.
Thanks for guaranteeing I get disappointed by episode 9 now.
You're welcome.
Oh my god. That's amazing.
There's not a thing they could possibly do that would be better than that.
Holy cow. All right, we ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on.
I was born ready to
How about that new Terminator trailer?
Dude, that looks fine.
Burrow.
Jaron was hyped.
Burrow.
I wanted to see if I could get him to come across the desk at me.
All right. You guys, because we've been... You guys are excited for Star Wars? I'm like, yeah, cool, Star Wars. I like Star Wars.
Yeah, whatever.
You guys are like, oh, Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man no matter what. I'm like, yeah, cool, Spider-Man, whatever. Man, I got the same feeling watching that new Terminator trailer that I got when the portals opened in Endgame. Like,
nice.
not even exaggerating.
Wow.
So it starts off kind of like the other one. You know, like it wasn't brand new, but then like I could hear that Terminator soundtrack, kind of soft in the background, and they were doing the Sarah Connor voiceover, and she's like, you know, in 1997, December 25th or whatever it was, you know, 7,000 people died or 7 billion people died or whatever, I stopped that.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, yeah, you did. That's what I've been waiting for all this time. All this time. Yes, you did. I was in. I was just all the way in, and then it showed.
Did it show her fighting the T-800?
Oh, I like how she was so angry at him. That was one of my favorite things about the trailer. Like, because they went,
was she just mad at him?
Yeah, well, they went to the house and like Arnold opened the door, and she immediately tried to kill him.
Yep.
Okay.
And they stopped her.
Yep. And she for sure was like, after this is over, I'm gonna kill you.
That's
and
right.
He's like, I understand.
I understand.
Thank you, Danny.
I get it. You want to shoot me? He got that. It was crazy.
I'm gonna go see that 7 times in the first 4 days it's out. By the 8th time, Danny, I expect you to have every one of Arnold's lines memorized.
Oh, okay.
And we're gonna go, and I just want you to
do that.
Mystery
for the whole
Science
movie?
Theater 3000 for me.
I wonder how the audience would react to that. Do you think they'd get real mad that I'm doing that, or do you think they'd be all in at that point and then just be like, "This makes the movie better"?
I think it's it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
Total coin flip.
The good news is we don't have to wonder. We just have to wait.
Maybe we'll go in the afternoon, so like I can guaranteed to be able to take anybody who's in there.
Yeah,
we'll go like one of those like a 2 o'clock matinee on like a Wednesday.
We're gonna need to we'll need to mic ourselves up for that so that we can release that as like
I was about to say like
we got to release it as like a Mystery Science Theater kind of thing.
When they come in to kick me out, they're like, "You can't film in here, sir." I'm like, "No, I'm pointing away from the screen. I'm just filming this guy."
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm so juiced for this movie, man.
He's trying to shoot me.
You want to talk?
I'm just gonna add lines too.
I gave you a hard time about getting your expectations up for that He-Man.
Yeah.
There's virtually no way that Dark Fate can live up to my expectations. I fully appreciate that.
Nice.
But I think I'm also starting to reach that point where that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I've already decided that I'm gonna love this movie, so like it could be if nothing else happens, like if I show up and they just show me the trailer, cool. Yep, I'll see it again. And we didn't actually make a movie, we just made a trailer.
We just made this awesome trailer.
In many instances, that would be a good plan for some of these movies.
Would have been a good plan for Salvation.
So what you're saying is that no matter what, this movie is not going to kill your childhood.
No matter what, this movie is not going to kill my childhood.
Good. That's the way it should be.
Genesis didn't kill my childhood, and the plot revolved around it killing my childhood.
It attempted to actually kill your childhood.
The argument is always like, look, this doesn't erase the thing you love. Well, wait, this one does.
Yeah, that's what the plot of that movie.
The plot of this movie is erasing the thing you love.
The 5 minutes into the first Terminator, the rest of that, none of that happens anymore. That's the plot of Genesis.
Great job, Genesis.
Yeah.
Genesis does. See?
What other remakes don't?
All right. Hey, was there anything else? Am I missing any other big important trailers? Or did we, I think we covered it all.
I feel like that's everything.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Sweet. Well, we got plenty of things coming up. I'm sure that we'll be discussing soon. There's more movies coming. We're starting to hit that time of year where we're going to start seeing new movies hitting theaters again.
Did you guys see the advertisement for the Christmas movie, the Noel Christmas?
Oh, the Disney Plus one.
Is it a Disney Plus one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh well,
the Anna Kendrick one.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen that?
Does it look awesome?
Disney Plus original Christmas
we'll have to talk
movie.
about that.
Hey man, Netflix can do
next
good ones.
time.
So yeah, that sounds great. I want to look that up and watch it. We'll talk
Also,
about
I don't want to. We probably won't do it next time either. We need to spend a whole segment on it at the end of a full show. But if it's still playing whenever you're watching this, go see Ready or Not.
Go see Ready or Not.
Wonderful.
Watch The Babysitter first on Netflix if you haven't. Then go see Ready or Not.
Which, by the way, is getting a sequel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you see that?
He just told me last night.
Yeah.
He told me. I saw.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
I love
Mick
that
G's
movie.
coming back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. Good stuff.
Awesome.
All right, well then I think that's going to do it for episode number 70 of the Geek Easy podcast. So, as always, if you guys are new to the show, there are several different ways you can make sure that you're following so you don't miss out on future episodes. If you guys prefer the video version, you can find us right here on YouTube. Just do a search for the Geek Easy podcast and hit that subscribe button. We have brand new episodes of the show every other Wednesday, and sometimes in between that, we even do spinoff shows. So there's always good content on there for you to watch. If you guys prefer the audio format, hey, that's okay. You can also download us on any of your preferred podcasting platforms. We're on iTunes, which I think is still iTunes right now, but it's going to be switching to Apple Podcast app or something. Either way, we will be on there. We are on Stitcher. We are on Google Play. We are on... what's that other one that I keep? Spotify. We're on all of those apps. So as long as you've got something that's pulling in a podcast feed, you should be able to find us. So follow us, leave us ratings and comments and all that good stuff. All right, gentlemen, anything else before we close out for the day?
Nope, I'm just going to leave here and go watch some Golden Girls.
All right.
Keep it smooth, everybody. We'll be back right here 2 Wednesdays from now.
The Geek Easy podcast is a production of PixelDan.com. Musical tracks used in the intro and outro are used with full permission of the respective owners or creators. Intro and outro narrations are provided by me, Brian T. Stevenson. PixelDan.com's The Geek Easy podcast is provided for entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those solely of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily represent those of PixelDan.com or any other party. Be sure to join us next time for another installment of the Geek Easy podcast.